Good evening and welcome to Angelscrapbook. I am your host, Angel Amoroso, and this evening we are on episode 5, and we're going to be covering Twitter. If you're not familiar with the show, uh, it's based on my social media posts, videos, and shows, and pictures, and just a lot of different random items, and your reaction to those posts and my behavior on social media. So, if you're on social media with me, more than likely you would be a part of this show at one point or another. So, this evening, we've decided our first few, we covered, I think, Facebook, and we did not cover Instagram yet, but we'll get there. So, this evening, we are going to cover Twitter since I've been removed from Twitter for a few years actually. I haven't been able to access my account. They locked me out. So people still post things and at me at Twitter thinking that I'm seeing it, and they're like, "Oh, well, why aren't you responding to me and why aren't you getting in the conversation?" And it's because I can't get in my account, and I've said this a numerous amount of times. Twitter is the account that I'm focusing on this evening because with more recent posts on Twitter, people have brought me up and tried to at me and ask why I wasn't getting back to them. So we're going to get to Twitter and check it out and see what that was all about. Let's see. I would think the screen is good, maybe. Let's see. I'll pick a good screen for this. Me small. Me very small in the corner. Okay, so I see it really doesn't make a difference in whether I'm big or small. Well, no, that kind of makes a difference, right? Okay, so let's put me in the corner for a minute, as a lot of you should be put in the corner, and get to my Twitter. Now, because I have been locked out for a couple years, I had to make a new account in order to get to my old account. So let's just search me. This is Angel Amoroso 1 on Twitter, if you're following along, and there I go. Angel Amoroso 1. I have 3,787 tweets, and you are going to, find out every one of them. However, first I want to go over and search my good friend Mick Foley's Twitter, because I made a secondary account, Wrestling Rewind, which was also entitled Variety Vault, and I put a picture of me and Tommy Cairo on the header because I was sharing all kinds of Wrestling Rewind programs. So I was using that. Someone had sent me a whole bunch of screenshots from some stuff on Twitter that Mick Foley had. Let's see if I could find it here. Long story short is that someone was trying to at me, talking about, Mick Foley had made a comment about how Donald Trump should be taken out of the Hall of Fame. I can't find it right now. I don't know why. And then a conversation ensued, and I want to try to get to it. When was this? June 16th. Okay, I'm on June 16th right now. So this was another one that my friend Jay Fabs got into making comments about. This was for a book signing or something about collectibles or something. And see, I don't want to reply to it. And for some reason, and well, now I kind of know the reason. You can only see Mick Foley's stuff now if he follows you back. And I tried to retweet something that was on his Twitter, and they wouldn't let me. So, okay, here it goes. It says, today seems like a good day to remove Donald Trump from the WWE Hall of Fame. Okay, so there are 3,025 comments. Let's see how I could, who can reply? Okay, and this is what he did. People at Real Mick Foley follows or mentions can reply. And this was because the conversation, and you know what? I think I'll let me try to get to it through. Oh, I can't get to it through Messenger on here, but just a little coverage on exactly what it was about. Is that Mick Foley is calling for Donald Trump to be removed from the WWE Hall of Fame. And I think that that's absurd, that he would have any say in this. I understand that Vince McMahon, participated in some inappropriate conduct with an employee. And but I don't think that Mick Foley should be the one to come out and make a statement on whether or not he should be removed from the Hall of Fame. If anyone should be removed from the Hall of Fame, it should be Mick Foley for having sex with a minor. And he still just has not even bothered to address it at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to my Twitter, and we're going to review just some of the material that I posted before I got banned, and Mick Foley being one of the reasons why I was banned. Paul Heyman being another, but we'll get into that at some other time. So again, let's share that screen and make me super small. I'll see you in a second. And let's see. I'm following 43 people, and I'm down to 279 followers. I never really communicated a lot on Twitter as far as atting people and being real social or anything. So my last tweet was about my friend Eddie Goldman's birthday party in March 27, 2019. So that's about the last time I got to access Twitter, which was unusual. And now they will not get past the give us your phone number. And then I give them my phone number, and still they don't let me in. It's lawyers and whatnot were referred to my Twitter account, and Twitter had to turn over a lot of information about me to Mick Foley and Paul Heyman and his lawyers. So this is me and my friend Eddie Goldman from NHB News on Twitter on his birthday. We're at Doc Holidays in New York City. And let's see. The post before that was March 7th, 2019, in which we sat down and did a tell-all interview about my experiences in MMA fighting. So if you want to listen to that, eventually I will review that video. It is on my Facebook. If you want to get over there, I'm actually locked out of Facebook right now. But if you want to get over there and view it, it's somewhere on my timeline. So it's yeah, okay. So my next post was February 26th of 2019, addressing hashtag Me Too is hashtag Time's Up equals fake shit. I exposed my 20 plus abusers, and all I got was harassed. And I gave the finger there. It's in any supporting tweets that came back to me in addressing this were suspended. The accounts were suspended anytime I got someone to say anything positive about anything that I was putting out there about my story. So then we have recommendations of who to follow at Paul Heyman at Heyman Hustle, Twitter, after locking me out of my account for activities they said came from Paul Heyman. Now they are recommending that I follow him for some ungodly reason. February 26, 2019, I said, R. Kelly will get what he deserves. Then maybe the world can start punishing pro wrestlers for being pedophiles. And let's see. Of course, I got some retweets about that and also some conversation from accounts that are now suspended. My next tweet was on February 19, 2019. I said, it's only wrong for some people to be pedophiles. Not all. It's not a question. It's a statement. It's only wrong for some people to be pedophiles. Not all. Go ahead. Think it over. Again, a conversation that was made about it was an account suspended from Twitter. Some of them were from my husband at the time that was running Twitter, NWO of the time, and also got banned from Twitter at the time. And also now, up to now, anytime Mick Foley and anyone is addressed or added in a tweet, there goes the Twitter account and our access to it. So my next tweet was February 7th, 2019. Maybe they'll hear me when my heart stops beating. I was having a bad day. Lots of stress about a lot of different things going on in my life. Not really going to get too much into it, but a lot of shit was happening. My next tweet was February 4th, 2019, and this was the No Holds Barred interview with Angel Amoroso on Untold Stories from the Early Days of MMA. Part 1 and Part 2 are up on the brand Phoenix. They're up on Podomatic.com. So if you want to listen to that, and here's Part 1 of my friend Eddie Goldman, who I traveled all the way to New York, all the way. I live in Philly, but we traveled up to New York in order to do this interview after, not seeing each other for many years. And I really got into detail of my experiences in MMA. So maybe you want to check that out. My next post was January 24th, 2019. And it was a post on my YouTube, Mermu YouTube, of the Iron Man Tommy Cairo introducing me to ECW, which was a cut promo. It was like cut in half. I couldn't put the whole thing up, and YouTube still tells me it's banned in certain places that I can't replay it, so I won't try to replay it on here. But they call it ECW property and try to call copyright on everything that I do. January 23rd, 2019, I posted the Extreme Cat Fight mixed tag team, Angel versus Peaches, and Tommy Dreamer. So this was from 1994, and we tried over and over again to post that on YouTube, and it kept getting taken down. And then all of a sudden they accepted it, but then we realized it was on like 5 other YouTubes. So they wouldn't let me post my own material in threats to take my YouTube down, but then they let everybody else do it. I don't get it. On January 23rd, 2019, I posted the Super Summer Sizzler Spectacular. It's a Catfight Uncut, and that was my debut for ECW. This was in 1993. This was some videos I shared as they were put up on YouTube, or just stuff that I wanted to remind people of I was involved with, because I was buried in the history of ECW for a long, long time. Next one was January 21st. Myself, Angel, the head cheerleader in ECW, the first head cheerleader, part of the Triple Threat faction of Shane Douglas and Curtis Hughes. Here is a video, an intro video of us and me addressing ECW. You think you're confusing fans. Don't worry, ECW. I'll clear it up. I am Angel Amoroso. Google it. I want to say fucking Google it, but it's like, there's only so many characters you can fit into a sentence. So there's a video over on Maramoon YouTube of me with Shane Douglas and Curtis Hughes, and I think it versus Sabu, and then Curtis Hughes versus 911. If you want to go over there and check that out, I hope it has not been deleted at this point, but hopefully it's still up and ready to be viewed. Next was a post from January 21st, 2019 of the NWA ECW Ultra Clash Battle Royal 93. It's more of an insult to Sherry, Nancy, and Peaches to say that there were no girls in ECW before 94. And that it's to me, when you think about it, because certain people, and they know who they are, were saying that they were the first girl in ECW. And I find it more of an insult to those ladies than I actually find to myself that she would say that. And we'll get to her nonsense in a minute. The next post was, and post tweet, whatever, January 21st, 2019, the Chokeslam. For the first female claiming that she was the first one to take the Chokeslam at 18 years old. Here's a little reminder. And there was the video on Maramoo YouTube of the Chokeslam, which now you could see on several different outlets on YouTube, but we had a problem putting it up. But there it goes. And this is 2019. And this goes back way, way back. The YouTube was, I believe, registered in, 2010 or 2012, something like that. But all this is on there. So next was a post from January 4th. I say post because I'm used to that, not being able to be on Twitter. I'm usually posting stuff elsewhere. No, I can't. Actually, nobody can watch whatever is on WWE Network is heavily edited. If you find an uncut version, you let me know. And this was my response to someone saying that my material as the Virgin Princess Angel and before that from NWA Eastern Championship Wrestling was now easy. You can easily watch it on the Weekend Network. I'm sure he meant WWE Network. And as if I'm going to pay $9.99 or whatever it is they're charging to view my own material. And I was not aware of the fact that they went back that far in an ECW library to cover NWA Eastern Championship Wrestling. So I don't know if they considered that they own my name in some way, or I don't know what's going on. My next post was January 3rd, 2019. It was titled November to Remember. So I wonder why ECW tries to make us forget 1993 and this episode where I bled all over the place. And this was, probably one of the most talked about incidents at the time. So I'm not sure about why they're, now they talk about it, but back then they wanted to act like it didn't happen, and you couldn't find any videos of it. So this is again, this is from 2019, pretty old information. I haven't been in Twitter in a long time, so bear with me on the old posts. Next was a Happy New Year from Jasmine St. Clair and a return, of course. The next was December 30th, 2018. I don't know and haven't talked to either of these people. And this was referencing people that were tweeting things about me, and trying to, give my age to people, and like the different stuff that they said were facts. Here's a December 13th retweet of, I don't know, replying to MMA Mania with, they say, with another girl who isn't his wife, and he tagged Noelle Foley and Dewey Foley. He says, I tagged Mick. He blocked me because I exposed the fact he had sex with Angel Amoroso 1 when she was underage. Now, this is on Twitter. This is still on Twitter. And I retweeted that because good. And then there's a happy holidays of me and my husband's, different events there. You can see that. And here is different auctions I would list on Twitter, not really referring to any one, a video game auction, part 1 and part 2, A to Z, metal on CDs. And we got 3 of those. And I linked those to an Angel Amoroso Versus account that you could see over there. All the action figure auctions, 1 through 6 are listed on there, as you can see. Links to them on Angel Amoroso 1 Twitter. And here's one night, I think one of the first nights that I started doing wrestling action figures. And another night. There's a lot of action figures. So here's a post from October 7th, a tweet. 2018, celebrating, do I remember when I joined Twitter 6 years ago? So I've been on Twitter from, what would that be? 12? Yeah. All right. I've been on Twitter since 2012, a long time. Here's one from October 6, 2018, which is The Skim, which is the title of my daughter's college film and documentary on me and my experiences with my family, pro wrestling, and other areas of life. If you want to check that out, it's on Marmu YouTube. Check it out. And on August 10th, 2018, this was a post referring to a video that I had done with a podcast. And this was Brian Danovich's last drug-filled argument against me before his death. He was actually my nicest gang stalker. And we're going to get into how I got gang stalked on on Twitter and all over social media, and leading up to my Twitter being taken away from me and me being locked out of it. So before he became one of my gang stalkers, Brian Danovich, I conducted this interview with him about his time in the WWE, his injuries, his drug addictions at the time, and much, much more. So I was trying to get people to listen to that because unfortunately, Brian Danovich came to a sudden death of a drug overdose, and he died. And I was one of the last people that got to interview him via a different podcast that I was involved in at the time. My next post was on July 28th, 2018. As you can see, I'm not very active was never very active on Twitter. It was Angel Amoroso versus Jerry Springer. Now, this was one of my last uploads or shows, rather, on Angel Amoroso versus YouTube. And that was a show that I'm going to get into what it was about right here. Pretty much about cyber stalking, gang stalking. If you want to go over there and check that out, there's a lot of episodes of Angel Amoroso versus. And this one was Angel Amoroso versus Jerry Springer, of which, if you ever wanted to know or see any episodes of the Jerry Springer show that I was actually on, you should go over there and watch it quick before NBC takes it down. So, there's a few clips on Meramu YouTube, but Angel Amoroso versus has actually the most thorough episodes of those shows if you want to go check out 3 out of 4 episodes that I was on Jerry Springer. The next was a retweet of Jasmine St. Clair's radio show that she was on back in 2018, ran July 28th. And it was Jasmine's Asylum back then. And then July 17th, 2018, I did a show on Angel Amoroso versus it called Wrestling with Regrets, Brian Zane on WWE, in which I just covered Brian Zane talking shit about me when I worked for Women's Extreme Wrestling as Tara Titanium. So if you want to go check that out, again, on Angel Amoroso versus, titled Wrestling with Regrets, Brian Zane on WWE. And then the next post was on July 17th. I was very active back then making shows because I was getting harassed every single day. So I had material to make every single day. And this episode, called Angel Amoroso versus Vitard and Friends, the aftermath. And this was by the time I got to a point where it rolled around and, I was starting to get warnings and stuff was going on, but I stopped the show. But the aftermath, and then there was 2 parts to the aftermath. And here's another post from July 15th, 2018, which was Angel Amoroso versus Shelly Martinez. Shelly Martinez, if you know from the WWE, she was the ECW WWE. She was a vampire chick there. And, does a lot of stuff with podcasts, and that she's not wrestling anymore. And we got a long story to tell about Shelly Martinez, so I won't waste too much time. The next was, again, July 15th. I was posting all the shows that I had made on Angel Amoroso versus about my experiences with the gang stalkers and cyberbullying. And just, you got to go watch it to hear it. And this one was Angel Amoroso versus Vitard, the Dunt Duke of Delusion and Defamation. I was coming back with some names back then because it was just amazing the things that these people were saying, defaming comments and horrible, threatening comments, and YouTube never took them down. Instead, boosted them and gave them awards for getting so many subscribers off of harassing me and my family, which is pretty much, that's what happened. So the next post was July 15th, 2018, Angel Amoroso versus Angel Amoroso round 2, which is a video about me in different areas of different things. If you want to see it, go check it out. This is about Twitter right now. And if I want to show you the YouTube, that's going to be on the episode about YouTube, that I have so many YouTubes. So, and we'll get to those. But if you want to check them out before that, I just give you a little preview of what's on them. My next post, July 15th, 2018, was Angel Amoroso versus SIJW Vitard, the stalking idiot jerk-off worm and friends. And this is where him and his friends sat around and made up stories about me and my family and misinformed a whole lot of people on what was going on with the situation between myself Mick Foley and the 20 plus wrestlers that I have to say, well, it's an accusation where no, I told my story about. That's what it is. And my next post was July 15th, 2018. Angel Amoroso versus Vitard, the cyber stalking compulsive liar, cuck, and friends. Again, he sat around with his friends for 2 to 3 to 4 hours and stole all of my videos and material off of social media and made shows out of it, including a live stream that then he later claimed was his material. So then I'm making these shows on a YouTube channel to try to counteract the stories that he's telling. But of course, then he's getting more views because he got so many subscribers from what he called, I worked with him at first, and then he turned on me just in order to do this. And, this is the way you don't trust people online. So my next post was July 15th, 2018, Angel Amoroso versus Vitard, the obsessed online harassment warrior. You have to go to Angel Amoroso versus and listen to these videos because this Vitard Infuso, I will call him, now you have to actually click on a private link to pay and see these videos of me on his YouTube. So, and I have a fucking problem with that. So the next video was Angel Amoroso versus Vitard, the social slanderizing skank troll of which, if you listen to it, slander 100% against me, against every member of my family. And this is all due to a live stream that a Facebook live stream that me and my family did at a book signing against Mick Foley, telling Mick Foley how we felt about him being a pretty much a predator, a child molester. Okay, and I'll say those words because this is my stream, and I'll say what I want. Okay, and I consider anyone that has sex with a 14 and a 15-year-old girl when they are 25 years old to be a child molester. Moving on. Next post was on July 15th, Vitard, Angel Amoroso versus Vitard, the piece of shit princess of defamation. Because he was calling himself, the prince of which he, I don't know, these guys these days obsessed with the computer and totally jealous of women. And I don't know what is wrong with these young men these days, but this young man took a lot of time to defame and just slanderize myself and every member of my family in 3 and 4 hour long podcasts, 20 and 30 of them. And, when I tried to fight back, then I was labeled as some kind of like cyber bullier myself. This one was Angel Amoroso versus Vitard, the basement dwelling gang stalking warrior, which was one of the first episodes on Angel Amoroso versus. Here's a retweet from, Jasmine St. Clair's first radio show. Okay. And then a post here from July 2nd, 2018. I said, watch, laugh, cry, get angry, do it all, but don't forget to subscribe. This is when I was trying to get subscribers to my Angel Amoroso versus channel. And this one was entitled The Bald Cyber Stalking Warrior Round 2. And I had a round 1 because they lasted such a long time in me covering the videos that he did about me and my family. It took so long to do in live streams to explain all the wrongs that he told to try to get people to listen to what was right, and ended up to be totally impossible. I got like a few hundred views on it, and it seems like no one just listens to what you're saying when you're saying it. So then this July 2nd post, 2018, was the copyright infringing fake news spreading warrior. And please, Angel Amoroso Versus, go check it out. Then this one was the basement dwelling gang stalking warrior. This one was, let's see, the keyboard warrior. And this is all Angel Amoroso Versus. And here is a short video about learning your rights and laws. And, let's end this criminal behavior. Join me and tune in. This was an invite to anyone who wanted to be educated on the subject of gang stalking and cyberbullying and the things that people were doing to me and my family after a live stream of protesting Mick Foley. So here's another June 1st, 2018 Super Summer Sizzler Spectacular Uncut cat fight. Let's see. I think I was talking about the death of Chuck Williams at the time because they aired a piece on the death of the Rock and Rebel and never said his name and never said his wife's name. So I figured I would tweet about it to the news and tell them that his name was Chuck Williams and her name was Stephanie. Complete the report before it airs. I was very angry about it. I sent the link there to prove that I knew who he was. And here's a actual tweet from June 1st, 2018 of a 3PW event that Jasmine St. Clair ran back in, I believe it was 2003. It was my last match against the Rock and Rebel Chuck Williams. And you can view that. That's over, I believe, on Mermu YouTube and Dirty Dead Doll Productions at YouTube if you want to see myself wrestle the Rock and Rebel Chuck Williams. And another bad situation in wrestling, Chuck and his wife found dead in their home. Tragic, being that, I had a very long history in professional wrestling with Chuck Williams, being that, he was involved in one of my first events and then my last event in professional wrestling. So that was very tragic. Here's a post from May 12th, 2018, congratulating my daughter, Christina Jade Polis, for graduating Temple. And this is, I'd like to show the pictures if I can. I hope it doesn't kick me off for showing these pictures. Very proud of my daughter there for achieving what I could not in life. So congratulations to my daughter for being a smart, educated young lady. Actually, in the society that Diamond Dallas Page belongs to. And I'm going to do a show about that sometime later because that is a part of my scrapbook. The National Society of Leadership and Success is the name of that group that my daughter is a part of. She was inducted in Temple University. And here's a picture of that, the National Society of Leadership and Success. There are a few other wrestlers that are also a part of that as a part of, them being leaders. So check that out. Dallas Page was supposed to do a few speakings that he canceled, claiming he had laryngitis. I don't know. That's a picture of me and Christina Jade. I think we were trying out different hair colors and felt a compulsion to post a picture of it. This is a funny post that someone sent here. It's for some reason, I think that's John Cena getting a hard on while he's getting pinned by The Undertaker. And then a bunch of guys in a ring there that are supposed to be wrestling, but looks like they're all grabbing each other's penis for some reason. All right, I posted it because I thought it's real bullshit what wrestling has come to if this is what we're looking at. So then on April 6th, 2018, I did an interview with Timothy Theory, who has had a whole bunch of different stuff go on since then. You could check that out over on Facebook. That was in 2018. He was actually part of our protest against Mick Foley, and eventually I will get to that and play that footage that I do have. And April 6, 2018, focuses on the best advice I ever had was Daddy X says, abusers and molesters will threaten their victims and try to silence them. They don't speak. Don't be silent. Victim, speak out and let your voice be heard. So I was just trying to say that I didn't think that anyone cared, and my actions would speak louder than my words. And I did a lot of things to prove that I was at the boiling point, and I think I let my actions speak for themselves. Here was for March 4th, 2018, my 43rd birthday. Count it out. I was born in 1975. That's right. I'm the biggest mark for my dog. It's true. There he goes with his little head. My Oscar. He's beautiful. Here's a post from February 25th, 2018. Don't ever question a little girl's right to her guns. This is me as a very small child, holding, as what you could, it's a cut off picture, but as you could see, is a full size rifle. Because in my home, guns were readily available all over the home, hung up on walls, and rifles and guns and different. So, telling me about gun rights or trying to talk to me about that sort of thing, like I've been hand-on guns since I was a little girl. So there you go. There's me as a child with a rifle. And here's a picture of me and my shit-ass family. My mother, the tall piece of shit on the right, standing over me. And to her right, my left, I guess, was my piece of shit sister. And then to her right, my piece of shit brother. And then there's me with my finger pointed the other way, as if I'm hitchhiking my way out of the situation, because I always went my own way. And my family hates me, and I hate them. Moving on, February 23rd, 2018, I threatened to burn my action figures because, as you could see in the pictures, there are so many of them. It's just ridiculous. It's like a horde in my house. So try to get over to one of my eBay sites. I think most of them are on Hooland 304 at ebay.com. So if you want to get over there, please buy some action figures. Seriously, before I melt them down. This was I've retweeted this from an account, I don't know, Davey, whatever, that said they should have put in the stuff about him allegedly raping Angel Amoroso 1. And this was in reference to, let me see, can I get on it? I cannot get on it. Okay, I think they were talking about Dave Meltzer, though. Okay. And then on February 16, 2018, I said, hey, Twitter, why do I get notifications of all of my followers, like who they're following? Like, when did this start and how can I stop it? And who thought it was a good idea to do this anyway? This was in 2018. And I don't know, I would guess they're still doing this. It's real annoying to me. This was a very interesting interaction I had with ECW's Francine on Twitter before I, lost access to my account. And this is a cute little interaction here. And I'll just start here. Uh, okay. I'm going to try to view this in full screen. Oh, shit. It just knocked me right off. It knocked me down every time I try to view things at full screen. It knocks me off, but I'll get to it. So to wrap up, it was an interaction between myself and Francine. Just she did an interview with some podcasts, which she has done in the past, and people will say, oh, well, how hard was it to take a choke slam when you were 18 years old? And, she'll take credit for that and, change the subject. And, she said that she was the only girl in ECW when, clearly we were there at the same time. I trained her at the ECW arena and had her first few matches with her in Hamburg Fieldhouse, and I believe I don't know, Pulsations nightclub, I believe, and maybe Jim Thorpe or one of those places. I don't know, but I had a good 3 matches with her and did a few angles with her before she actually got a full-time position. So on this occasion, she did an interview with Medusa Michelli on her podcast. And then someone called her on what she said, which was Francine made a big mistake when at Medusa Rocks interviewed me. I meant to say I had a tryout with Angel Amoroso, not Angel Orsini. Hashtag brain fart. So in response to that, because I know Francine and her bullshit and the confusion that she already knows exists between me and Angel Orsini, that she would make it worse at a time like this by saying this on a public platform with Medusa Michelli. So my response to her was an eye roll emoji, followed by a horse emoji, a piece of shit emoji, and a rat emoji. Now, I don't think you have to be like a detective to unravel what I was trying to say to her at the time. And I was trying to use emojis so that I would not get banned from Twitter in saying that she's a friggin' horse face piece of shit rat, right? So she replies to me with a bunch of question marks, like she can't figure this out on her own. So, she says, let's see. Shortly after that, okay, she deletes her tweets about the whole situation, about mistaking me for Angel Orsini and everything. And here it says, this quoted tweet is something, I don't know. Able to follow you. You're very okay. So the thing is, she deleted the tweet, and then I sent a tweet that said, it's good that we have screenshots with the little Mickey Mouse symbol there. You can see this if you go over to Angel Amoroso 1 at Twitter. You can see these full screen. So because I called her out, on making a mistake that if your first few matches as a professional wrestler, especially when you're as eager as she was to get in the business, like you're going to remember who your first 3 to 4 matches were with as another female. You're not going to forget ever, and you're not going to try to mix people up even more by throwing someone else's name out there that's very often confused with mine. So I don't appreciate that she did that. And I let her know in emojis, and then she blocked me so she can go fuck herself as usual. My next retweet was from Shelly Martinez, who's great friends with Francine and now doesn't talk to me over the fact that I fucking let Francine have it in emojis. So then after having lots of communications, as you'll see in my upcoming material here, I had a lot of support from Shelly Martinez and her sister initially on Twitter. So here's one from January 23rd, 2018. Shelly Martinez asking, who listened to our interview with Angel Amoroso 1? What are your thoughts? At the time, she was on Patreon, and this did not, I don't believe it still exists for you to listen to, but it does exist on my Angel Amoroso Versus YouTube because I copied it and then, reviewed it myself. It's no longer up there, along with a lot of other interviews I've done to expose the professional wrestlers who molested me when I was a child, not in ECW, when I was a child. From 19, I said this time, we'll get to this material. This was the 80s and the 90s. This was not, something that happened when I was working in ECW. And I hate that people still are getting that confused. So next was, let's see, you are unable to view this tweet because this account owner limits who can view their tweets. And this is a tweet from Francine, obviously talking some kind of shit about me. And I can't see it because she blocked me for calling her a horse face piece of shit rat in emojis. And here's another one. And there's February 8th, the Eagles parade. To go from one situation to another quickly. Here's a Shelly Martinez retweet. She said, I'm glad I retired. I do not belong in the world of wrestling. It doesn't want me, and I don't want it. It was fun flirting with WWE success and rebounding with TNA, but it wasn't meant to be. Wrestling was just Mr. Right now, not Mr. Right, if that makes any sense. So at the time, I was retweeting Shelly a lot because Shelly also was telling a story about her different experiences in and out of professional wrestling, being exploited as a child and, almost raped in the WWE. So you check Shelly out. She's got a lot of her own stories to tell. Another one from Shelly Martinez, January 31st, was P.S. to those people throwing me ugly vibes this weekend in Philly, kick rocks. Saw your little glares. Next time you should come up to me if you have a problem or ignore me. It's pretty simple. It's called being an adult and having manners in the workplace. Now, the reason Shelly Martinez posted this because she was booked for a WrestleCon and came to Philadelphia. And then after she did an interview with me about Mick Foley, she got canceled off that WrestleCon and then pretty much blackballed from wrestling, as she did a podcast explaining this in 2020. If you want to check that out, it's Shelly Martinez. If you Google my name, it will come up as one of the last covered interviews of that Shelly did about myself. She said, I'm not saying I should be inducted. Just put my damn name on the site with everyone else. More proof they have beef with me and chose to leave me, Ariel, out of WWE, but effed them. And another example of why WWE and how they run things. And this is like, it's amazing that we had a lot of things in common, myself and Shelly, because they were also, for some reason, for a lot of reasons that we talked about in private that I won't expose, but they were also treating her like she didn't exist and trying to write her out of WWE history. And then after the Mick Foley incident, where she tried to ask him if what I was saying was true, then he kind of put the kibosh on her like really heavy. And I warned her that it would happen, but she didn't listen. And she went ahead and, she did a podcast. It was one of her first podcasts. And I hope it was worth it for her. So naturally, I had to check with WWE. No Ariel, Okay, so this is kind of how it started. July 31st. I saw a post that triggered me to look on Impact Wrestling site to see who works there. There's still no alumni section for the Salinas, whatever. Yeah, and she's really going off about not being included in history, while I'm going off about legal facts. And I will just leave this here. This is a post that I'm not going to make too big because I don't want it as a possible thumbnail. And I'll just leave this racism here. And you can see this anywhere on Google, where it is a post of me there with the pink hairs. You can see smaller, calling me a fucking nigger. And I'm going to say it because it's written there. And that's the way someone referred to me over a situation, saying, who? From that fucking crazy nigger Angel Amoroso, who fucked the entire ECW locker room. She now says she was only 16 when she fucked Mick Foley, and which wasn't seeing his wife yet. She also claimed to have been abused by Dave Meltzer. He's not even a fucking wrestler. Like, what the fuck is up with this crazy bitch? Anyway, she posted tons of crazy shit. If you want to dig her up on Twitter, or of her just standing outside of Mick Foley's book signing from like 2 or 3 months ago, saying he molested a minor and all kinds of vulgar shit in front of children. Now, first off, again, when people refer to this situation, I did not say I was 16 years old. I said 14 and 15 years old. And I never, ever said anything about ECW at this point for anything. So they were adding different things in, half true, half not true. But Google allowed the racism that you can still see outright, calling me a nigger, and you can look that up, and it's still here on my Twitter. So good news is I say who I am, but the bad news is I am who I say I am. So if you want to read into that, this was some retweets from a guy named Adam Kleist, who I think was friends with Shelly Martinez, who says that this girl got the TMZ treatment, which half surprised him. Honestly, hardly able to justify even the following wrestling anymore. All this stuff just hurts my heart too much. This was a girl that said Enzo from the Enzo Amore, I don't watch wrestling, but said he raped her. So she got TMZ interviews and all that jazz. And there were a lot of people on Twitter who had been following me for a lot of years. I was on Twitter for a long time, and they knew that I had been talking about my situation since the day that I got on Twitter. So for complete transparency, I took the steps to contact Dave Meltzer at Dave Meltzer 1. And this is the following media. It says sensitive content, but it actually got deleted. Head over there. It's got 27 comments. Maybe you'll be able to see it there on Angel Amoroso 1, but I can't. Let's see. This girl is just talking about the girl who said she was raped by Enzo, said that she was bipolar and obsessive compulsive, panic anxiety disorder, and she had inpatient psychiatric hospitals and has undergone ECT treatments. And she's a recovering heroin addict and a nude model. But she still has a right to say no when it comes to someone raping her. She still has the right to be believed. So this girl was talking, this was January 22nd, 2018. And I was retweeting it just in a, she contacted me and asked me to, and I thought her story was awful. And if this is still going on, then yeah, people should be sharing it around and people should be losing their jobs and going to jail. Yet I think I see that this guy is still in circulation on the independent circuit. So this one was breaking. Eric Arden, a.k.a. Enzo Amore, has been suspended from WWE that has zero tolerance for matters involving sexual harassment or sexual assault. Now, this was January 22nd, 2018, and they decided to make an example out of Enzo Amore, or Amore, whatever his name was. I protested Mick Foley in November of 2017. So all this rolled around after I did what I did. The next was this young lady saying, "I'm done waiting for these powerful men to talk about what is happening in wrestling and what needs to be done while women continue to be victimized. I'll do it my damn self. I'm a better writer than they are anyway." And she's probably right. My response to that was, you know what? Same song, different singers. That's all. You got a story. You got assaulted. You got raped. You're being heard out. You're having a lawyer, bring you through this at the very least, because, it happened in a timely fashion that you decided to sing your song to TMZ and get those lawyers in order to support you in your story, of which I don't know how exactly it escalated and how it ended, since Enzo is now back working in professional wrestling on the independent circuit. So it's this one that I retweeted from January 22nd, 2018 says, "Enzo could get a fine for littering and people would demand his head on a stake. No one should get a pass for any shit like this. Enzo, Foley, whoever, it's garbage that fans and the media play favorites on who they want to be completely destroyed." And that's true. In a sense, it's true. Because Enzo, again, I think paid some kind of price by losing his job over it. And then Foley still has not been publicly questioned about it at all. And he misdirects people by talking about how Donald Trump should be removed from the Hall of Fame instead of addressing his own mistakes and his own flaws and downfalls. He'll go attack someone else. The next tweet I have here was from Adam Kleist again. He said, "That is a bit weird, huh? Maybe this will open up more conversation." Shelly Martinez says I said to her, as in response to a thread that I don't think I could get to, I said, "It makes you sick in so many ways. You start to fall apart in ways you never expected." And at the time, January 23rd, 2018 was a very hard time for me. I was being stalked, cyber stalked and gang stalked and harassed on a daily basis through the internet, directly in person. And it was a very hard time for me. So sometimes you do fall apart after a while because things get impossible to deal with when you try to tell your story and tell the truth about what happened to you and correct the wrongs that people were spreading around about you. And, oh, it was 16 and it was ECW. No, I never said any of that. I said, as it says on this poster here, that I'm not going to click onto here, but I addressed ages 12 to 15, okay? And I addressed years from 88 to 91. I never addressed the age of 16 at all with anyone. I could if I wanted to, but I didn't. And I never addressed 17 or 18 either. This following video that I had posted on Mermu YouTube was a video in direction towards my 20 plus wrestlers who molested me as a child. This was a video towards them that I did on New Year's Day, of which I was going to then hold another walk against the Mummers Parade and expose every one of my abusers. I ended up not doing that, and I made this video instead. You could go see that on Mermu YouTube, of which, I responded to Shelly Martinez in this. I wish I could hair flip, but my hair has been falling out. My doctor, he says it's stress. And at that time, it was from stress because this situation, I got harassed about so much in outing my molesters that my hair was falling out. I wasn't sleeping at night. I was having nightmares again. I had post-traumatic stress, and it was not getting any better due to this situation. So I favorited this thoughtful response that I found on Google, and I'll just retweet it. And this was Shelly saying, who listened to our interview about sexual abuse and rape with Angel Amoroso. And this was when the hashtag I Stand With Angel Amoroso started. January 21st, 2018. It says, if you send me a DM saying I stand with Mick Foley and you're wondering what stinks, you stepped in some bullshit while standing on the wrong side. Piss off. And I meant every word of that, because at the time, the hashtag I Stand With Angel Amoroso was trending side by side with a hashtag I Stand With Mick Foley hashtag, that people were going against me and what I was saying for him and what he wasn't saying or confirming or addressing, and he still hasn't. So just, think about what side you're on and who you're listening to and who you're getting the information and the answers from and who you're not. So this right here was from my daughter's, Twitter, of which she was active on at the time, in posting different facts on Twitter and interesting facts that people should take a look at and realize what and who they are to define them as human beings. So, different quotes that you might recognize as follows. January 20th, 2018, she says, truth will ultimately prevail where there is pains taken to bring it to light. And that's from George Washington. Think about it. And here goes a long list of different words and definitions that my daughter covered, including answer, to speak or write in response, make answer, reply. Number 2, to respond by act or emotion, to act or suffer in consequence of, to be or declare oneself responsible or accountable, to be satisfactory or serve, to confirm and correspond. That is an answer. Those are the things that I did. I answered questions. And what did I get for answering questions? I got berated and insulted and stalked all over social media and in person because I answer questions. And Mick Foley didn't answer questions. None of the 20 plus people that I've named has answered any questions at all. So think about what questions are and what answers are. Oh, here goes what a question is. To ask someone a question, ask of questions, interrogate, to ask or inquire, to make a question of doubt, to challenge or dispute. So Now that you know what a question is, maybe you should stop asking me all the questions and trying to confuse everyone else on what the answers are, and start questioning 16 of the 20 people that are still alive that are on my list, right? The next was truth. The quality or state of being true. He had to accept the truth or of her accusation. That which is true or in accordance with fact or reality. Tell me the truth, right? Do you want the truth? I'm giving you the truth. And, you just refuse to take it. Number one, fact, a thing that is indisputably the case, used in discussion in significance of something that is the case, a piece of information used as evidence or as a part of a report or news article. A fact. Facts that I have. 10 days. This was 10 days after we protested McFoley on November 17th. This was 10 days after he had not spoken a word to anyone in response to this. We were getting attacked and he wasn't. Silence. A complete absence of sound caused to be silent, prohibit or prevent from speaking. McFoley was silent 10 days after, not a word. Our next definition is sex offender, a generic term for all persons convicted of sex crimes involving sex, including rape, molestation, sexual harassment, and pornography production or distribution. In most states, convicted sex offenders are supposed to report to local police and authorities, but many do not. Read it again if you need to, or just listen to me read it. The next definition is girl, a female child, a young or relatively young woman. Woman, an adult human female. Statutory rape, sexual intercourse with a minor. Here's a enlightening little saying that I'm sure everyone remembers growing up. 15 will get you 20. It is illegal for anyone above the age of 16 to have sex with a person below the age of 16. Therefore, when you sleep with a 15-year-old or younger, you will get 20 years in prison. That's the rule. 15 will get you 20. Go on and listen to it again. This was a video that was shared by my daughter, Christina Jade Polis, on Twitter that says, if you shut up truth and bury it underground, it will grow and gather to itself such explosive power that the day it bursts through, it will blow up everything in its way. Go on, think about it. And this was a link to a video, The Truth About WWE Legends. If you'd like to go to that, that's on a wide amount of YouTubes. Google it. Here's on January 19th, 2018, I thanked Danielle Martinez and Shelly Martinez for giving me a platform of telling my story after the McFoley protest, just to clear up any misunderstandings, because I really thought that it would make a difference in clearing up any misunderstandings that people had, that they were given the wrong ages and the wrong dates and the wrong locations and times and whatnot, and trying to make me look like a liar when they were taking my words and twisting them and misspeaking out of what trolling. There were trolls. So thank you for sharing your thoughts and experiences with me and Danielle. The world of wrestling can be so dark, and I hate it. I wish more people would speak on the sexual abuse that happens. And this was from Shelly Martinez. talking about sexual abuse in wrestling, encouraging people to listen to my interview because, as I said, a lot of the same incidents, not the same incidents, but Shelley was almost raped. But you can hear her story about that if you go over and listen to Shelley Martinez on her platform. This was an update on Snapchat where she also put the interview. And this was, "It's being buried as usual," was my response to a January 17th post 2018 from Adam Clay saying, "It's pretty interesting for me to see that so many stories are coming out of people being victimized this last year, and yet yours is not as much. It tells me so much about the reality of what all this is, this Me Too staged movements, and real truth is censored." And they were hashtags that I honestly was not disagreeing with at the time, because it was amazing to me that there was so much information on my end being put out there. And for a long time before the Me Too incident even started, I was telling my story, and my daughter was telling my story from, wow, like a long time ago. Please look this up, YouTube, from 2012 at least. On other platforms much earlier. So this was a post referring to my treatment is mandatory in my condition. So should I have to pay for treatment for PTSD when it's $150 an hour and I didn't traumatize myself? So I wonder how this is for other people who suffer from post-traumatic stress from being sexually abused when they're a child, and then they have a doctor tell them later on, after years of therapy, that if you want continued therapy at this point and this stage of the game in 2018, then you got to pay $150 an hour. I don't see how that's fair to me or anyone who has been put in this situation or familiar with it. So okay, so yeah, when I'm defeated, my doctor aligns me with a shrink who tells me, I'm sorry, $120 an hour that I pay out of pocket to be treated for what others cause, because there's really no justice. As someone said, I totally relate to this. Once I feel defeated, God always aligns me with someone who knows what I'm going through. I finally get the support I need to move forward. And that's what life is about. One love. Okay, that was from Shelley. That was when we first started speaking. And she said my story moved her so much that she had to do a podcast about it. She said, "Isn't it crazy? You can literally make yourself sick with worry or holding on to things." And I held on to a lot of things for a lot of years, and I regret, holding a lot of it back, because I never told complete stories, and the stories that I did tell always got deleted. So a lot of people weren't getting complete stories, and they're still not, because even though Shelley here took her time in, interviewing me, and we got a good portion of the story up, it's not there anymore. So just like with Carmine Sabia, I did a full interview of reading a PDF file with 5,000 words of a police, part of a police report and all that, and that was like close to 3 hours, and that got called on copyright by WWE and then got taken down, and then they start copyright calling on all his videos, and then took his YouTube down completely. So this is what happens anytime I try to expose this situation and let people know exactly what's going on and how long I've actually been talking about this. This is not new. This is nothing new. So when you say I've never heard of it before, maybe it's just because you're not listening. So this was one from Shelley, editing an interview with Angel Amoroso. This was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I've had to do in a long time. Thank you, Sean Dawson, for giving me the courage to do this. got to give props where they're due. Your videos encourage me to tell the truth. And, great. Tell the truth. Everyone needs to hear what's real out there and what's really going on. This, again, was my Happy New Year's video where I name names and put it down. And Christina back with, just some things to say. This is my daughter, Christina Jade Polis, over on Twitter. I am a literal byproduct of this. I tried to make it as simple as possible, but common sense is not that common, so it can be pretty difficult. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. Just saying. Now, my daughter, referring to this, she is a byproduct of statutory rape, because when I was 15 years old, her father was about 23 years old. So she is a byproduct of this. He was also a person who was around wrestling. So for people to, try to tell her that she's wrong for what she's saying and tell her that she doesn't know what she's talking about is completely and utterly ridiculous. Here is a retweet. I stand in solidarity with my brave sisters and brothers who came out in the first place and have put the careers at risk by standing up to these monsters. And this was, I think, a Rosanna Arquette got a retweet. Corey Feldman was involved in it, and all Rose McGowan and all those people. So I was getting something on those stories, even though that's not what I was asking for. So Christina says, okay, I just think it's funny how most women are praised for coming out about sexual abuse and harassment, while others are demeaned, berated, and censored for it. You may not like the person making the accusation, but it doesn't make them any less valid. Now, she's talking about me because at this point, in January 7th, 2018, had been, from November 2017 to then had been a long time, and it had been a long time being harassed about something that I had been saying for a long time. And then finally, when it gets any kind of attention, it's all negative attention that then turned to me and my family in such a way that it would make anyone else back off and not want to talk about this. But this was brought up again more recently on Twitter, which is why I'm bringing it up right now, because Mick Foley had to address that he thinks Donald Trump should be taken out of the WWE Hall of Fame for his conduct with a coworker. And I think that maybe Mick Foley shouldn't be in the WWF Hall of Fame because he had sex with me when I was a minor. So as I was sharing my opinion about that on the new Twitter that I made, he went ahead and blocked that account and then made it so that only followers and people that he follows back can comment on his posts and tweets on Twitter. And so I can't look up stuff there. So I've created a new Twitter account so that you could just go through my Angel Amoroso 1 account to give you a little history on my history on Twitter. So my daughter then tweets, with years of being told that you're crazy and being put away over coming out, and at the same time told to just get over it. And will probably, I don't know, drive a person a bit crazy. And this was referring to me having a complete meltdown over people harassing me on Twitter and other forms of social media. Another one from Christina says, especially when it's been thoroughly examined by professionals and acknowledged that it's true, and yet nothing has been done. It's weird, right? I thought so too. Statutory rape is rape. 12 to 17 years old is underage. No matter how you want to twist it to your advantage, that is the fact. You cannot have sexual contact with a young lady between the ages of 12 and 17 years old and not call yourself a child molester. You cannot blame the child and say the child, oh, it's against the law for the child to have sex with the adult. That is not the way it works. I'm sorry to tell you, all the trolls that want to believe that, and the actual pedophiles out there that live their lives like that and actually believe these sort of things. That's not the way it works. If you are having sex with a child between the ages of 12 and 17 years old, you are a sex offending pedophile. Case closed. So I am going to end for right now. I'm going to end my review of Twitter on this episode of Angel's Scrapbook, or Angelscrapbook, whatever you want to call it, because there's quite a bit more to get to as far as moving down the list. And I can't unfold the comments to give everyone a full idea of what I was going through on Twitter at the time. But I don't know, maybe you could go over there yourself and view it and get a better idea of exactly what was happening. I'm going to get back with part 2 of Twitter on next week's episode of Angel's Scrapbook. And we can unfold all of that, the ridiculous Mick Foley tweets and everything that have recently come up. I will unfold next week, and we can read the responses and whatnot to that. I have that over on my Angel Walsh Facebook because, oh, and by the way, I've been locked out of my Angel Amoroso Facebook also. I wonder why that is. But anyway, thanks to Rick Gillespie for joining me here on Angel's Scrapbook. Hopefully, join us next week where we will be doing part 2 of Twitter, since it's a long story, but not too long. So join me next week. And until then, have a nice night and a nice life. Good night. Oh.